Rafa's half of the draw belongs to Rafa. After watching Day 5 at the Australian Open, I'm not convinced that any of those guys will be able to take it away from him. Who do you think can possibly take this away from Rafa and claim the spot in the 2018 Australian Open final? Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. I am your host, Matt Bradshaw, and this is the fastest growing, most interesting tennis talk show in the world.
Oh, really?
Now, I know I said this is Rafa's half, but there's a caveat. Although Rafa was handing out breadsticks faster than a waiter at the Olive Garden last night, the second set was a little bit closer, at least halfway into it, and showed us a little sneak peek at the blueprint for beating Rafa. And it's really no surprise. If you've been watching the show, if you watched the Australian Open last year, you know it's all about getting in and taking the ball earlier, putting some real pressure on Rafa. But I've got to say, Rafa is playing more aggressive. As the commentators, Cliffy Drysdale and Patty Mack, I believe were the ones on the call last night, as they noticed in the match, Rafa is playing more aggressive than ever. He's playing a little bit more like Roger, and of course, you know, Rafa doesn't want to wear out his knee. Rafa wants to get through these matches faster, and it's just smarter for the longevity of his career to play this way. In the second set, Dimitrov, he was able to start taking the ball earlier, kind of like what we saw from Belinda Bencic and Venus Williams matchup, kind of like what we always see from Roger Federer, and he was able to do it for a little bit. And he's able to hang into that set and not have another breadstick on his plate, rather. And obviously, he got away from it. The commentators even said, okay, that's not going to work. Now he's standing way back. Now he's waiting for the ball to come to him. But this court, it's a lower bouncing, fast court, the Aussie Open court. Again, Patrick McEnroe and Darren Cahill, they're saying the court's playing fast. Rafa's ball, it kicks high. We know that. That really helps him on the clay courts, right? He can make forehands bounce over your head or at least over your shoulder and make it very difficult, especially if you have a one-hand backhand. This court, it doesn't work as well. And Zoomer was able to move in and take it on the rise easier than you would be able to, say, like at the French Open. But he didn't consistently do this. And who could consistently do it? Maybe a Dimitrov, but he's not playing well. Maybe a Nick Kyros, but if you watched his match, he's kind of cuckoo crazy. I'm not convinced that these guys can take it. And we're going to look at some stats. Today's going to be a relatively short video. I've got a preview of the matches tonight coming a little bit later today. I know I was going to do a video on Djokovic and Monfils yesterday. I actually did it. It was a very long video. I'm going to finish chopping that down and still put that on the Crunch Time Coaching channel. We're also going to have a video on Crunch Time Coaching probably about 3 p.m. East Coast time today, where I'll talk about the matches that are coming up that we've got for, day 6 now. So this video, relatively short, and I don't know that those guys can do it, but I will tell you this. Roger's got to get to the final because he's got the blueprint down. He's got the game to challenge Rafa, and we saw Rafa start to struggle just a little, glimpses of it, in that second set with Damir Zoomer. But Zoomer doesn't have the game to keep that up, doesn't have the game to keep that kind of pressure on him by continually taking that ball earlier, taking it on the rise, stepping into the court. Roger, of course, does, and he's been doing it very well at this year's Australian Open. Despite what you think, if you're worried about Roger and you think he's been struggling at all with the backhand or anything, I've heard some people comment that his forehand looks slower. Look, he's taking it early. It doesn't matter. Even if there's like a little less pop on the shot, which I don't think there is, he's taking it so early, it feels fast to the opponents, and it's going to put the pressure on Rafa that the Zoomer was able to put on him for just a little bit. Let's look at these other matches now. I'm obviously thinking Rafa's good. He's got Diego Schwartzman next. We know what Schwartzman did at the U.S. Open. That could be a tricky match. That could be maybe a match that goes a little long where the Rafa knee has some extra stress put on it. But I don't know. Rafa looks good, and like I said, he's playing more aggressive than ever. I think Dimitrov's confidence level is up. I actually think Dimitrov has a chance to beat Kyros, and I think Dimitrov is going to pick up a lot of confidence because Andrei Rublev, one of probably the hottest next-genner, Chung, who, by the way, we'll talk about him in the video on Crunch Time Coaching later today. He's going to play Alexander Zverev. That might be an upset alert because Chung and Rublev, these are the hottest next-genners. I know Shapovalov, you could throw him in that talk too. But Rublev, big win for Dimitrov. Dimitrov not playing well again, but fighting really hard. And his confidence has got to go up. And everyone has to see that Kyros is looking like a crazy person. More on that in a minute. Let's look at the Dimitrov stats really quick. Put them on the screen. So 13 aces, 15 double faults. Again, Dimitrov serving bad. More doubles than aces is a really bad sign. Rublev, 13 doubles and 4 aces. So that'll give you an idea of how this match went. Rublev was able to help Dimitrov a lot. Dimitrov was lucky that Rublev wasn't playing at his best. Conditions were tough. Commentators were saying he could use a plate of pasta, looking real skinny out there, Rublev, maybe not able to handle the tough conditions. But still, great player, good win for Dimitrov to hit 15 double faults and win. But the first serve ends 63. Dimitrov is trending upwards. 76% win on the first serve. So the first serve is starting to work. The Dimitrov second serve and the Dimitrov backhand. If he wasn't such an athletic freak able to run around his backhand, might not have been able to win that match because Dimitrov was able to avoid hitting a lot of backhands. A weird thing is he's missing the slice. Watch a Dimitrov match if you haven't yet. McEnroe called it first, saying his slice backhand is now inconsistent, which is like a really weird thing because, normally we say don't slice too much. We know it's a safer shot, but it's not aggressive enough. Well, Dimitrov is having a hard time just getting a defensive slice over the net. He's hitting a lot of them in the net. So bottom line on Dimitrov, I think he's going to get confidence because he's able to play poorly and win against a tough opponent like Rublev. I think he'll go into the Kyros match having belief that because Kyros is so crazy and so up and down throughout the course of a tennis match that he's going to have opportunities to win it. So Dimitrov, I think it's going to be a tough match. I think it's going to be good. Even if Dimitrov plays ugly, I think we can still have a good match. Let's look at Kyros and Tsonga stats. So if we look at these stats right away, the first thing I'm going to think is just say, how the heck is Dimitrov going to be able to hang in there with Kyros? He's going to get blown off the court. 28 aces, 4 doubles for Tsonga. 28 aces, 3 doubles for Kyros. It's funny, the commentators were saying how I was saying 10 years ago, Tsonga had the best result of his life at this tournament, making it to the finals, losing to Djokovic. And I said maybe that memory from 10 years ago will help him do something special in the match with Kyros. But Kyros has his own memory from that very tournament 10 years ago. Kyros was 12 years old. Every day he came to the tournament to watch Tsonga practice. Of course, he was gravitating towards Tsonga because Tsonga's got the big, flashy game, just like Kyros. So, of course, he would appeal to the young 12-year-old tennis player Kyros. Every day he went to watch Tsonga practice, brought a different tennis ball every day, and got an autograph from Tsonga. 10 years later, he's knocking Tsonga out in the third round. Not very nice of you, Nick. So look at these serve numbers. Tsonga, 28 aces, 4 doubles, 69% first serve in, 87% first serve win, and a 51% win on the second serve. 70 winners. 70 winners. But with those winners, 36 unforced errors from Tsonga too. Tsonga, lots of errors, but Nick Kyros, not far off. I think Kyros had about 25 unforced errors, but on the ground strokes, only around 25 winners. So Kyros was really letting Tsonga hit himself out of the match. A lot of errors. That really helped Kyros in key moments. And that could easily work with Dimitrov, the way he's been playing. Don't get me wrong. Kyros could come through Dimitrov in 3 sets. But what really struck me about the Kyros match were these moments he had, like when he got in an argument with the umpire. He gets a time violation warning, and he starts chirping about it and getting upset. And Jake Garner, the chair umpire, he says, "Nick, you took way too long on the changeover. I warned you when you were about to run out of time, and then you decided to change your shirt." Then probably my favorite moment of the match. Let me look at my notes to tell you exactly when in the match it happens so you can find it on YouTube. Find a highlight reel and see this. Tsonga is serving 1-3. First set. 30-love. Nick, you gotta take care of business here, and you gotta break them, because then Tsonga has no chance to win the first set. And then Nick Kyros attempts the Roger Federer patented saber return move, and Tsonga ends up hitting a slow ace because of the saber. It would have been an easy serve to return for someone as athletic as Nick, but since Nick is sprinting into the net, the slow angled wide serve from Tsonga just goes right past him for an easy ace. And the best part, what you got to look for if you try to find this point, is the look. Tsonga kind of looks at him like, what? Not a good thing to do to the guy that gave you all those autographs 10 years ago, Nick. But anyways, the point is, look, the saber move, I know some people were upset at Federer for doing it, even though he pulled it off so many times, and it's really fun to watch. But it's disrespectful to do it to another player's serve, and Tsonga obviously not thrilled about that move Nick did. One more Nick Kyros moment. Later in the match, Nick Kyros has a chance to hold serve to stay on track to get to a tiebreak, and Nick gets broken because he's got a short ball where a Federer, a Nadal, anyone, you run up to this short ball, and you watch the opponent with one eye, and you watch the ball with the other eye, and you kind of wait for them to commit to a direction. Tsonga commits this way, Kyros can hit the cross-court forehand, easy winner, but instead Kyros jumps in the air like Michael Jordan for a highlight shot, and once you're in the air with the hips lined up to go down the line, there's no way to change the direction, and he hits it right to Tsonga, ends up losing that point, ends up getting his serve broken, and that's the kind of stuff that makes me think Dimitrov might have a chance to come out of that match. After that happened, Nick gets broken, and he starts to hit himself in the head with his racket and say, "You're so stupid! You're so stupid!"
Stop hitting yourself. Ow. Stop hitting yourself. Ow. Stop hitting yourself.
Ow. 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 Look, I get it. He's a 22-year-old young man. There's a lot of adrenaline, a lot of testosterone coursing through his veins. But it's stuff like that that makes me think, you know what? Grigor, a lot more mature at this stage in his career, he might have a chance to at least push Kyros, if not win it. You never know with Kyros. He's like a ticking time bomb. But whoever comes through this thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not going to Rafa. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Nick or Dimitrov get there. But if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say Kyros gets to Rafa. But I'm not feeling that Kyros can beat Rafa. Maybe they can go 5 sets. Maybe. I don't think so. I think Rafa is going to the final, and I don't want to jinx anything, but let me just tell you this. If you're a Fed head, I feel really good about this tournament. I feel really good about seeing record-breaking numbers in the final, where everyone around the world can't believe which 2 players made it to the 2018 Australian Open again. Shh. Well, that's it for me. Thanks for watching Coffee Break Tennis. Look out for my preview of the matches coming tonight. Of course, we got Roger coming up. I will be back at 11 a.m. tomorrow, 9 p.m. in India, 6:30 in Dubai, 4 p.m. in the UK, and 3 a.m. in Australia. So, look out for that show tomorrow where we'll talk all about Roger Federer. Maybe 3 or 4 p.m. today on the East Coast time at the Crunch Time Coaching channel. By the way, Crunch Time Coaching is our head sponsor, brings you Coffee Break Tennis. Make sure you go over there to check my preview, and I'm going to try to get some of that where I talk about Kachanov, Del Potro, Monfils, guys like that. I'm going to try to put some of that up there too, so check it out. Thanks for watching Coffee Break Tennis, and get very excited, folks, because I think we've got some very exciting matches coming up.